Do you Indian scum know why you're here?
In the early 19th century, Americans were ready to move west, and the only thing standing in their way were us Native Americans. To move to the west, the Americans would have to physically move us out of our land. We did everything we could to assimilate into their culture. We ate pork like them. We practiced their religion. Some of us even owned slaves. We dressed like them, but the white men saw us as lower than them and didn't accept us into their culture. There were two court cases that affected the Indian Removal Act even before it happened. The first court case, Johnson versus McIntosh, had the outcome that the government can have power to negotiate with the Native Americans. In the second court case, Worcester versus Georgia, a man named Worcester was living on Native American land. The state of Georgia said that he couldn't live there. He sued Georgia, saying that his rights of life, liberty, and property were being denied. In the end, Worcester won the case, and Georgia could no longer enforce Native American land. The main influence of the Indian Removal Act, however, was Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson forced Native Americans to sign a treaty, which would force them to give the U.S. approximately 20 million square miles of their land. Afterwards, Jackson tried to pass his first legislation, the Indian Removal Act, which would directly affect the tribes of the Chickasaw, Creek, Choctaw, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians. The Indian Removal Act would allow him to physically remove all Native Americans that are living west of Mississippi and move them east to scattered and unorganized land through a deadly passage called the Trail of Tears. One of these tribes, the Cherokee, took the Indian Removal Act to court. Here, the Supreme Court deemed it unconstitutional. Andrew Jackson, however, ignored this and escorted the Native Americans away by gunpoint on the Trail of Tears. The Supreme Court deciding what to do is a perfect example of judicial review. All of the branches of the government are supposed to abide by this, but Jackson, the executive branch, did not. Jackson believed in an executive government having extreme power, which is ironic because it contradicts his democratic Republican ideas. Hopefully that sheds some light on the subject. Now, I might as well tell you about the Trail of Tears. A few years after the Indian Removal Act, the Indians had to start their fatal walk from their homes to the west of Mississippi. The walk is around 1,000 miles long. You'll have lost about half your numbers on this trip, and are having to spend most of your walk at gunpoint. The majority of this walk is in Arkansas, and Arkansas is also where most of y'all have died. The Indian Removal Act has had a devastating effect on U.S. history and is a perfect example of America breaching the boundaries of the U.S. Constitution. We are supposed to treat all people, no matter what race, gender, sexuality, or religious belief, the same. This is an example of us not doing so.